Hello and welcome back to the Link2Feed training series. This video is going to cover how to manage some of the administrative tasks on Link2Feed, such as resetting passwords and creating new users. I want you to imagine a scenario where one of the users at your agency has unsuccessfully entered their password 3 times in a row, and now they're locked out. I have on this tab here an example of what they'll see. If this happens, you will have to manually unlock their account and/or change their password for them. In this example, I'm starting from the dashboard on the test site, and I'm going to use the left-hand navigation bar to click Administration, Users. This page will show you all the users that have access to your agency on Link2Feed. It's recommended to have at least 2 users at all times that are familiar enough with Link2Feed to be able to navigate this area, reset passwords, etc. Here's the example account that got locked out, and you can tell by seeing this little lock button here. If you click on that button, it will unlock the account and allow them to try again. However, they may also need their password reset. This little circular button will send an email to the username email address and give them the option to reset a password. Or you can manually reset it for them by using this middle magic wand button. You click that, you can enter a new password for the user, and then tell that person their new password. Save. Now their account is unlocked. We don't see that lock symbol, and they have a new password, so they should be able to successfully log in. If you have a new member that's joining you at your agency and they would like an account to enter Link2Feed data, you can also create a new account for them by going up here in the right-hand corner and clicking New User. The first few questions are fairly self-explanatory. It'll ask their name, email address, a password, and then what types of programs they're going to manage. I'm going to create example 2. So in the email section, this will be their username. And it is always beneficial to use the real email address for that exact example where they get an email from Link2Feed if they're having password trouble. However, as you see in this example, it will accept usernames that aren't really a true email address. However, it's recommended to use a real one. Any password must follow these guidelines listed here. And be sure you remember what password you create so you can tell the user. The application section is referring to which program this user is going to have access to. Case management refers to that first checkbox when you first log in on the pre-dashboard. This box will just give them access to the dashboard, but you also have to separately check these other boxes depending on what you want your user to have access to. The most common are TFAP and CSFP, and sometimes Pantry if your site has additional programs that aren't necessarily related to those commodity programs. The next section asks what roles you want your user to have. Agency manager, reporter will give them access to reports, and messages just gives them access to this messages button, which is usually just information from Link2Feed and is not necessarily an essential feature for your users to use. But these 2 roles will allow them to complete most tasks within Link2Feed. After you've made sure all the boxes are checked that you need, click Save and Next. It's important to remember to click Save and Next instead of just Save, because there are a few more pages of permissions and your user might have difficulty if you don't complete the account. Click Save and Next. This page asks what programs you want your user to be able to record. So in the previous page, we indicated we wanted a CSFP worker, a Pantry worker, and a TFAP worker, but now you have to check those boxes again, which seems a little duplicative, but these are the steps. So first, you want to make them active, and this is going to actively allow them to log in and under this agency account. And then if you select all, it will allow them to have those recorded TFAP button, record CSFP, all those different options on a client profile. So the key steps on this page are to click active and then select all. And then once again, you're going to want to click save and next instead of save changes, especially if you're creating a new user. This is another page of additional permissions. So I want the user to be able to do data entry. Exporter allows them to look at all the different details through the export function. And if you want to know more about that process, please refer to the export video. It's a helpful tool to have access to, though, so I'm going to check this box. And duplicate checker will allow the user to check if a profile is a duplicate in the network and merge duplicated profiles. That's also a helpful feature. So I'm going to check that box. You can also use the select all button, depending on what you want the user to have access to. The client profile tabs, this is asking if you want your user to have access to all the different tabs on a client's profile. It's typically recommended to select all on this page. That's easy. Again, click save and next. This page is asking what reports you want your user to have access to. And again, it lists all the different options that are available. You're going to want to at least have the statistics report because that's the most important report. However, this is another instance where you can select all and hit save and next. This is the final page, and it's mostly individual preferences, such as time zone, time format, preferred case management tab. This asks which tab of the client profile you navigate to first, how you prefer to search for clients on the search bar, and if you have those general report numbers on the dashboard. I usually like to select yes. Once you have these individual preferences set up, you can click save and next. And the user account is complete. You can refer to all the details on this page, and you can see all the permissions that you assigned for this user and look at additional details here at the bottom. If everything looks good, you can give the username and the password to the user, and they should be able to log in for the first time where they will be prompted to set their own password. But again, as we mentioned, I'm going to go here on the right-hand side back to list. Here's that example account we just made. We can always reset the password here for them, and again, have that email sent directly to their username. But this tab is how you manage your passwords and your users, and this edit button will allow you to make any changes that you might need.